Right, welcome back, everybody. In the past 2 days, concerns have been raised about the Department of Basic Education's decision to raise the pass mark for grades 7, 8 and 9 senior phase. Last year, learners were expected to pass 7 of the 9 subjects for their final exams. Now, this year's promotion requires that 8 of the 9 subjects should be passed, with 50% pass requirement in home languages and 40% pass requirement in first additional languages. All right, let's get a little bit more detail on this now. And we're joined in studio by Elijah Mhlanga, who is the Department of Basic Education's spokesperson. Elijah, welcome. It's good to have you here on the program. Okay, so there's been a huge response since this announcement was made of what I've mentioned. Why now? Why at the end of the year do you make a decision like this?
No, the implementation of CAPS curriculum has been coming for the past 4 years. And each time we're implementing, we made the announcement. Even in the beginning of this year, we did indicate that the senior phase, we were going to change the promotion requirements. Why we are making this announcement now is for 2 reasons. The first one is that we want to remind parents that when they look at their children's reports, which they will be receiving in the next 2 weeks, when schools close, they need to remember that the pass mark for grade 7, 8 and 9 in terms of languages has changed, but also that they are now required to pass 8 of the 9 subjects. So we want them to remember that the implementation has taken place. But the other reason is to remind school managers as well as district officials of the guidelines that we have put in place, because we have realized that because of the changes that have taken place, some learners have been negatively affected. So we felt we needed to put some measure in place to help us manage the transition. Okay,
but I think the question that needs to be asked right now is, why now? Why was this not made available, or this information or these standards not made at the beginning of the educational year? Because I don't think anybody has an issue with the fact of raising the standard of passing, because I think people have an issue that the standard is so low. It's good that it's being raised, but now bringing it in at the end when results are coming out, as you say, in 2 weeks' time, and then now we're suddenly going to see such a lower drop in the pass rate. Don't you think this should have been decided or announced right up front in the beginning of the year?
It was announced at the beginning of the year.
So why is there an outcry now about it?
I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that in education there are way too many things that we announce. And some of these things might have been forgotten. But
you think this was forgotten? I'm sure people would have remembered this.
No, the schools, the teachers have been working on the basis of the new promotion requirements. And the learners have been working on the basis of the new promotion requirements, because we announced this. The schools communities know, our stakeholders are aware, we made the public. There's nothing that we've done in secret. Everything we always announce, because we need to prepare the system. And preparing the system means making sure that the provinces, the districts, the parents, the school governing bodies, the learners themselves are aware of what is coming through. So all that we did now is to just remind people, because it's the first time that we're implementing this. So we felt that we needed to remind people again that the implementation has taken place, and this is what is going to be expected when you read your child's school report card.
You know, there have been a lot of issues raised from the challenges with this new CAP system, which has really been obviously a challenge for learners, teachers, raising the pass mark to awarding extra 10 marks for this year's final exams for each learner. Was introducing this curriculum this year perhaps a little bit too drastic?
It's not a curriculum. The curriculum has been implemented over a period of about 4 to 5 years now. What we have done is to implement aspects of it, because you do not implement in full everything across the board. You implement in phases. So what we have done this year with the senior phase, that is grade 7, 8 and 9, we realized throughout the year when analyzing learner performance of the examinations and assessments that have been done, that due to the new promotion requirements, learners were being negatively affected, which means there will be a huge drop in the pass rate this year in those grades. So what we then did as a department is to come with a temporary measure that will not affect learners that much. And that was to implement the 5% rule, where we say that the school principal with the district manager will have to analyze the performance of a school over a 3-year period to see if the performance of 2014 has deviated, and if so, to what extent. If it's beyond 5%, then they will be requested in a strictly controlled process to ensure that they adjust the marks by not more than 5% to bring it to the average of the past 3 years.
All right. I know there's so much more to talk about, but yesterday, very big announcements coming out. Was the first announcement that you made was the fact that names are not going to be published in the newspaper now for the matric results. It's only the examination number and the ID number of the pupil. That's correct?
The first announcement that we made was that the minister as well as the MECs have agreed that there's a need to consider raising the pass mark for grade 12.
Right.
But the technicalities of that will be determined as we go. The second announcement was that for the results of 2014, for the class of 2014, the results will be published in newspapers, but we are not going to use names.
Not putting names.
We'll use exam numbers because we feel that the recommendations of the task team needed to be considered and be taken seriously, hence the decision has been taken.
So the pass mark for matric, you're wanting to raise that now as well. Over how many years?
Well, the technical aspects of the implementation will be announced further. All that the ministers have done is to say that we broadly support the recommendations of the ministerial task team, and we feel that the implementation must happen. But as you know, in education, you can't just implement at a go. You need to phase it in.
Yeah.
And the department now will work on
Over
the
5 years,
practical
2 years, 1 year?
implementation. I think in the next 3 or 4
3
years
years.
or so.
Okay,
so
that's what we want to hear.
We should see the implementation.
All right,
of that,
Elijah,
yeah.
thank you for talking to us. Elijah Mhlanga is from the Department of Basic Education. So you heard it here. They're wanting to raise the pass rate, the basic pass rate for matrics, not now, but in the next 3 years or so. At the moment, it stands to just get a basic matric. You need to get 3 subjects over 40% and 3 over 30%. So that should be changing in the next few years. Let's take a break. See you after this.